rockers, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope you're all having the best day ever. Thank you so much for clicking on my YouTube channel, and on my video today, I have a new tattoo. I got Garfield on my arm. He is now forever a part of me, and I also got my Paris Hilton signature from my book autographed as well, because I'm a very deranged person. There it is right there, and there it is right there. So yes, my arms are also really patchy right now because I can't apply fake tan because I just got those tattoos in fear of getting them infected, so I am really patchy. Let's just ignore that. Anyway, today's video we have an update on the Def Noodles and Keemstar lawsuit, and it is not slowing down anytime soon. And I'm gonna dive into all of that with you, and this is one of my favorite topics because I absolutely love how just pointless this lawsuit is. And I also love a defamation lawsuit because, again, very pointless, and they're very fun to talk about. So let's get into it. Okay, before that, I want to remind you that my Twitch is linked down below. Now, last night, I did a 6 or 7 hour stream, and I'm doing the exact same today, so please go over and follow. It'll be in the pinned comment or the description. You'll get notified whenever I go live. I'll be going live like an hour or so after I post this, so it's gonna be a fun one. We did like hours of Just Dance, hours of Club Penguin, hours of Am I the Asshole. It was fun. Okay, so again, that is my Twitch. So if you do not know about this lawsuit, I feel like I want to clarify this before we actually get into the new update with it. And apparently there's like a face-to-face that's going to be happening now. But again, if you're not aware, this is basically what happened. So Keemstar tweeted out the following, and Dennis is suing him for it. So Keemstar tweeted, Def Noodles has allegedly groomed girls from ages 12 to 15. Big YouTuber source. Victims are scared of him and wish to stay anonymous, but may come forward soon. Now, like I said really quickly, this tweet was making fun of Dennis because Dennis was posting tweets like this every single day about James Charles, which were not true. And there was a couple people that were speaking up about James Charles and they were real, but Dennis was posting day after day, literally tens of stories a day, like this, phrase like this about James Charles that were not true and could easily be fact-checked. But Dennis didn't want to do that because the more he posted about it, the more attention he got. So Keemstar posted this tweet in an attempt to highlight how just fraudulent the news coverage that Dennis does. And I mean, it definitely affected Dennis. You know, he's so pissed about it, and that goes to show that Keemstar's point was made. You do not have to be the biggest Keemstar fan to acknowledge that what Keemstar did here was highlighting what Dennis was doing to other people, and it just goes to show that Dennis couldn't take it, but he could give it. And as much as, you know, so many people in my comment section do not like standing with Keemstar, they go, actually, I'm on his side in this lawsuit. So we go down, and Keemstar responded to the tweet saying, Def Noodles has declined to give us a comment on the allegations made against him. Now, Dennis is suing him basically because the tweet is defaming his character, and that no victims were ever there, and no victims were contacted, and Dennis wasn't contacted for a comment, so it was all lies, which obviously that's how it read as. It was reading as a satirical joke, making fun of Dennis. Now, that's how it read to everyone. Everyone understood that, but obviously Dennis saw a way to get some drama and attention, and it was in the peak of him going crazy. So he sued Dennis, and now he's dealing with the messy lawsuit that will entail this. So Dennis tweeted and said, do you remember he kept posting non-stop fake PEDO stories on YouTubers? So I posted this tweet to mock him. In May 2021, everyone knows this is a joke that I'm mocking him. But now he's taking it completely out of context, acting like it is serious. And then Keemstar said, I'm going to be adding more play buttons to my collection, basically saying that he doesn't want money from Dennis just because of the inconvenience. He wants Dennis's YouTube play buttons, which is incredibly petty. So anyway, here is the new update. So a couple weeks ago, maybe, we did like reading the papers. There was like actual like court documents that were published online. Now, those same things have happened again in a filing that happened 2 days ago, I think. However, they haven't leaked yet. However, people have the information and have put it online. So the actual documents, I do not have yet, and whenever I do, we can go through them. But now we have this information. So it's on the Def Noodles, Hello? Reddit. I was gonna say subreddit and Reddit, but for some reason I just started doing Alright, Keemstar defamation suit update. Pre-trial conference is set to take place for 4/25/2023. So January, February, March, April. So 25th of April. So basically this time next month, which is whenever you like meet face to face. But I believe that Keemstar is gonna send like attorneys. Keem did not give an answer to the trial, obviously denying what Def is suing him for. Again, for those not familiar with the legal system, this is basically a meeting between all of the parties and the judge to give the judge a better understanding of the issues so that they can get a feel for how long this, case is going to last. Now, I've said this so many times. The judge is going to look at this case and be like, I fucking hate YouTubers. And that's going to be the end of it, in my opinion. The judge will probably urge them to settle, pretty much happens in every civil suit, and set a tentative trial date in the future should it come to that. I'll include a link to the monitor showing all the orders and motions for the case in this comments. So basically, we're going to read through the comments, and now the further we go down the comments, the more conversational it gets, so bear with me here. Keem and Dennis meeting face-to-face. They probably won't be meeting face-to-face. It'll probably just be the attorneys and the judge. That typically is what happens. Someone said, dang, imagine if they did, though. That would be great. So then we scroll down. I still can't believe Dennis is still going through with this. Now, this is just the main thing. It's like, I don't know why Dennis is draining his money doing this suit that easily could be turned back around him. Could you imagine if Keemstar got other YouTubers involved that could argue the same way Dennis is arguing that Keem defamed him, that Dennis has defamed them? This could ruin Dennis's career, but this could, whatever's left of it, take it. Is this an ego thing at this stage? Is this a not wanting to let Keemstar win kind of thing for something you started? That's what it kind of reads as. Alright. Best case scenario, both of them go bankrupt over this and we never hear from them again. Now, again, here is, like, all of us seeing the filings. We see the judge, we see the case number, we see that it was Tuesday, March 21st that the preliminary, there we go, I got it, conference was set. It is set at 10 a.m. for, the 25th of April. Then we have all of these different notices on behalf of Daniel Keem. So basically they've been going back and forth for a while is what this has been showing. Now all the documents kind of range from like 9 pages to 17 pages, so a little bit hefty. Remember when Dennis sued Keemstar trying to make the argument that Keem's false claims negatively impacted his career? It's kind of hilarious looking back seeing that Dennis, and only Dennis, is responsible for negatively impacting his career. And that's why I think Dennis has lost this. I mean, I said from the start I didn't believe he had it. Keemstar can prove so many things that Dennis has done now to make people not want to support Dennis. So Dennis cannot put it on Keemstar for the downfall of his career. He was not smart enough in thinking this through, so he's just draining his pockets for no reason. And maybe that's why he's having to rent out his fucking studio in Hollywood to people on like Airbnb so they can use a podcast studio for an hour, pay by hour. Crazy. I'm no lawyer. Does Def actually have a case or is this all rubbish? Being objective, I do think what Keemstar did was wrong, and he very knowingly put out a false statement about Dennis being a P-word. I know Dennis goes on to become a massive hypocrite about this later, but for the case at hand, it does show malicious intent behind false statements from Keem. That is true, but what is also true is that it could be argued that Dennis did the same thing to other YouTubers. I have cat hairs all over my face. I feel like I say this in every single video, because I do. I don't know the damages part, but surely the false and malicious aspect could be enough to sue. Alright, here we go. So this is where we really start to get into it. So, Rod Farvar, 57, lovely name, said the following. Defamation suits, just by nature, are very hard to win. In order to have a case, you do have to prove damages, which he's claiming to be $75,000. So, I do not know how Def Noodles can claim that Keemstar, with one tweet, made him lose $75,000. I don't need to finish my sentence. I don't need to finish my sentence. None of this is any sort of itemization or explanation of how he got that number. Malicious intent and falsity are just one element you need to prove in this case. The judge has ruled there's at least a case here to be argued since they denied Keem's motion for failure to state a claim. Essentially, it's a motion that the defendant does at the beginning of the suit before trial that says even if what the plaintiff said was true, there isn't enough to make a legal action of, cause. Keem did use the "it was a joke" defense in this motion and the judge said no to it. Kinda interesting since Def's whole thing is you can't take anything I say seriously because it's a joke. So again, throwing Dennis's words in his own mouth. So it'll come down to if Dennis can prove damages, which I think is going to be very hard to do if he's even suffered them due to Keem's tweet. His channel didn't take any hits when this tweet happened. In fact, it only grew. This was the time when Dennis was posting the most amount of videos ever, getting the most amount of views, his YouTube peak, and he's claiming that he lost so much money, but he wasn't seemingly losing sponsors. He was gaining views. It just comes across as a bunch of balls. He was, as far as I'm aware, already going through some sort of therapy when this happened. His channel decline now in state is really only a factor of what he has done. Keem will also be able to argue using the, examples of Dev's past, making, the same tweets as well to other creators. I guess to conclude, it's a very uphill battle. I wouldn't say it's totally impossible. This lawsuit has gone further than any other lawsuits against Keemstar in the past. Every other one, Romeo Lacoste, for example, was dismissed and never got to this phase of proceeding. I think it will get ruled in favor of Keem just based on the huge argument against Dev he has here. Not to say I think he's in the right, the tweet was stupid and wrong to do. I think it won't even go to trial to begin with, though. On Twitter, it seems like him and Keem are basically becoming somewhat civil. Keem was congratulating him a few weeks ago on his comedy club. It'll just depend on who lets their ego drop. This is the best way that I can dumb it down. Alright, this is incredibly helpful. I thought a while ago there were reports that Dennis lost because Keem accused Daft Noodles and not Dennis, but I don't understand how that fits into things. So, here we go. That's the argument that Keemstar's made. A lot of Keemstar's fans, including his fellow creators, seem convinced he'd successfully get the lawsuit dismissed based on the argument that Keemstar was making a comment about the character of Daft Noodles, not Dennis Fatoza. Now, Dennis Fatoza has told us on time and time again that Daft Noodles is only a character. So if you're saying claims about a character, it's not like he's coming at you as a person. So again, using Dennis's words in his own mouth. I remember people arguing with me back whenever I said that I didn't think that that would happen. Some people felt bizarrely certain. That's probably why you'd been left with that impression. Anyways, the judge disagreed with Keemstar's side that there wasn't enough of a case to take things further. So things are being taken further. If Keemstar has competent lawyers, I'm pretty sure he'll probably win the lawsuit, however, in the long run. Yeah, I mean, the lack of damages is a big weakness of the case, but even if you could somehow tally up damages, the fact that Dennis is so empathetic that he's playing a character called Daft Noodles will make it even more difficult to try gain any traction with this. Based off of what I know, if he can't prove lost wages due to defamation, ironic defamation Noodles, then this isn't going anywhere. I'll assume he's going to lie and say the period of time bleeding subs and making less money is because of the statements with Keemstar, so whenever Dennis started turning his own audience off him, he's going to say that was because of Keem. I know people don't like Keemstar, but what he said wasn't even defamation. He was making an example to show how Dennis himself operates and behaves. That's been my thinking of this from the very start of this suit. The very start of this suit, that was what I said, and I got so much backlash because everyone loved Dennis. But I'm going to call a spade, and when my opinion is my opinion, I will say it. I don't care if people turn on me for it. And I did, and look at that, it aged beautifully. Anyway. Alright, okay. This is a response I gave to a previous post about it not being dismissed. So, I don't think Dennis will win overall. It's hard to prove defamation. Keemstar's joke was irresponsible at best. But Def's gone far out of his way and hasn't proved his own damages, and his own reputation has, been caused because of him. He deliberately drove off his own audience and centered himself in many controversies. I don't think anyone, or at least not a significant number of people, really took Keemstar's inappropriate joke seriously from what I've seen. Seems like it'll be hard to prove damages. I think this Daft Noodles is just a character argument wasn't the best that Keemstar said. But Dennis himself has previously used that to distance himself from his own words and controversy. Dennis has justified himself saying some pretty horrible and arguably defamatory things as satire and playing a character, and it was my understanding that Keemstar's joke was meant to be mocking that exact habit of Dennis's. I don't know, I'm not surprised it wasn't dismissed outright because there's a lot of room to argue some stuff. It's not a lawsuit over nothing. I think Keemstar definitely crossed the line, but I just don't think that he crossed the legal line, with relevant laws that this will be taken much further. America has a really strong freedom of speech protections, which I don't necessarily agree with, but it's why defamation cases are extremely difficult to win. Will be interesting to see how this plays out. I wasn't expecting it to be thrown out, but I'm not expecting Dennis to be successful in the long run. Perhaps the judge or jury will disagree with me though, especially after all the evidence is laid out. Maybe there's even information I'm missing that would change my mind. I'm not rooting for either of them. I think legally Keemstar will win this though, because he's in the right, but ethically in the wrong. And I think if Keemstar is actually found guilty for this joke, then Dennis would also be liable for a lot of defamatory jokes that he has made. Yeah, and then people are bringing up like Papa Gut saying that Keemstar, or Dennis saying that Papa Gut looked like a P word. So yeah, here's the thing. If Dennis wins this, which he won't, in my opinion, then so many people are going to come out of the woodworks and sue Dennis. Because he just won a defamation case whenever he's literally called defamation Noodles. Keemstar's gonna win, but I think it's just gonna be dismissed. That's what makes most amount of sense. I wanna know your opinion of this. Let's talk about it down below. Whose side are you on? What's your opinion on it? What do you think is gonna happen? Do you think it's gonna settle? Do you think one of them is gonna give up if one of their egos finally caves in a little bit? Let me know. We'll talk about it. Please make sure you're subscribed. Please like the video. Please go follow me on Twitch. I'll be live in a couple hours. And yeah, talk about it down below. I appreciate you being here. Bye. Mwah.